again, I kind of gave you a little background on me. The session that I lost, which is the 09 session, that was when Joe Strauss was elected Speaker. The way he became Speaker was to have 65 Democrats and 11 Republicans got together, and basically the decision was made, look, we'll support anybody other than Tom Craddick, who had been the Speaker in 03, 05, and 07. And so then what happened after that is that basically since that time everybody said, okay, there are either 65 or not like this last session there were 55 Democrats. And so they said there are 55 Democrats, let's see, all they need is 21 rhinos, and guess what? He's got the 76 votes. So then what happens is typically everybody, well, he's got the votes, might as well join the team because I want to be a member of the team. And so, but here's the thing, and this is what I want to share with you tonight. There was a lot of great legislation. Oh, okay. Here's the thing. In 09, after he got elected, and then he had to run for re-election in 11. Okay? And I can't tell you the number of times I heard this. Well, listen, I'm going to be a committee chair, so I need to vote for Joe Strauss because I'm going to be a committee chair. Now, we never did get quite straight how they found out that they were going to be committee chairs because I don't know if you know it or not, but that's against the law. You're not supposed to sell that, or you're not supposed to buy it either. And so that's against the law. And so, but somehow the message was there would be a certain number of people that were going to be committee chairs, and the end result was there were people who were going to just sign up. At that time, Ken Paxton was running for Speaker. And in essence, Warren Chisholm was also running for Speaker. As we got towards the end of the race, it was clear that they were still going to have the votes, but it looked like we were going to have somewhere around 40, maybe 50 votes for either Ken Paxton or Warren Chisholm. We have a caucus meeting, and in essence, Warren Chisholm commits to vote for Ken Paxton, taking all the people that were going to support him for Speaker to support Ken Paxton. Unfortunately, the next morning, which was the day of the first session, Warren Chisholm makes an announcement that he has now thrown his support to Joe Strauss. There was a lot of people begging Ken Paxton to not run. But what happened was that Leo Berman, another conservative, got up and called for a record vote. And as an end result of that, there were 17 of us that would not vote for Joe Strauss. And so, because here's the important point I want you to understand. In 09, they had the ability to pass, but did not pass the photo ID and the sonogram bill. Okay? Those two bills never ever got to the floor, despite the fact that the Republicans were in the majority. And there were even some pro-life Democrats that would have voted for the sonogram bill. And there were even some Democrats that would have voted for the photo ID. But we had 76 votes. So we had the votes for both bills by nothing more than the Republicans. Unfortunately, the bills did not get to the floor. I wonder why. Now, here's the thing. Because the 17 of us voted against Joe Strauss, what happened was all the others that voted for him said, we better get those bills onto the floor because if we don't, there's going to be big targets on our backs. Okay? The end result is we got both of them to the floor, and guess what? We got them passed out of the House and went over to the Senate and became law. Now here's the deal. Both those bills would have been law in 09, except that you've got to placate the Democrats if 80% of your votes come from the Democrats. So, here we come 13, and first Brian Hughes and then David Simpson run. The mistake that David made was he made a commitment that if and maybe David didn't have all the background that I did. Had he asked me, I would have told him, don't do it. And that was, he made a commitment that if we didn't have the votes on the floor, he wouldn't take it to the floor. That was a mistake. Because I can tell you that when you start lighting up the board, how that changes people's attitudes about things. You know? And so what happened was, he decides to not take it to the floor, and because he had made a promise to a lot of people that we wouldn't have a vote if we didn't have the, we wouldn't have a record vote if we didn't have the votes, the decision was we wouldn't do anything. Now, but here we are, and now we're getting ready for the next session. The one thing that Scott Turner has said is, there's going to be a record vote on the first day. Here's what I want you to understand, my friends. We have almost a supermajority in the Texas House. Okay? That's right. Now, so, but here's the thing. How about a constitutional spending limit? You know, when that issue has come before Republican primary voters, you know, it's a ballot measure, 94% of all Republican primary voters vote for that. Could not get that out of committee last time. Educational opportunities for all, or school choice, couldn't get it out of committee. Funding priorities out of general revenue. In other words, if we want to have money for water and want to have money for highways, how about taking it out of the $10 billion surplus and not going to the rainy day fund? Okay? Unfortunately, we couldn't do that. Border security and eliminating magnets for illegal immigrants. None of those bills got out of committee. How about a repeal of the business tax? None of those bills got it out of committee. How about any pro-family or pro-life legislation? None of those bills got out of committee in the regular session. Now here's the deal. First you'll say, oh, well, that bill, that passed that, will you pass that big pro-life bill? My friends, that was in the special session. The only reason we got that done is because Rick Perry put it on the call. If Rick Perry had not put it on the call, that legislation, none of that would have done.
Amen.
None of it.
That's right.
Now, here's the thing. How about protecting religious liberty? Okay? And how about American law for American courts? Okay? Here's the thing. What makes you think that Joe Strauss is Speaker again without us standing up and fighting, that any of that stuff will make it?
It ain't gonna change.
That's right.
Exactly. Because here's the thing. What he does is, they go around promising committee assignments to pull in people. You too can be a state rep or a state chair. And guess what? I've run into people who were promised that and told their constituents that. Twice! You know, what's the old adage? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You know, twice. And yet, guess what? He never became a committee chair. I also know conservatives who went along with the whole deal. And guess what happened? They got to be committee chairs thinking, you know what, if I get to be a committee chair, by George, I'm going to have some power. And I'm going to get something done. Oh yeah? There's a problem. You've got a calendars committee, and that calendars committee can either hold bills for 3 days, or they can hold until the 12th of never. And guess what?
Amen.
The good stuff gets held till the 12th of never. So, here's the thing. What I want you to understand is this. People, you cannot have people selling their principles thinking that they're going to get something done because they're not. And that's the message that you need to understand so that you can convey that. Okay? And more than that is this. When you have people promising things that they should not be promising, what does it tell you about the character of those doing that? So, here's the last thing is this. Make no mistake about it. There is a war on conservatives. When we had the redistricting, we paired 14 Republicans and 2 Democrats. In other words, what that means is they drew the lines in such a way that one of two people is going to either drop out of the race, or what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to run against another conservative.
Ask Wayne Christian.
Exactly. Well, in Wayne's case, what they do is they drew a district that had 80% new. Okay? But, for instance, Irwin Cain, Dan Flynn had two conservatives. And what it boils down to is that, guess what? Even some of the conservatives who ended up voting for Joe Strauss when the 17 of us voted against him, do you think that they got anything? Oh, no, my friends. Ask Marva Beck of Waco. She was a pretty good conservative vote. But you know what? They drew a district that she could not win. And the end result is this. If you want to join the war on conservatives, that's support for Joe Strauss.
Yes, sir.
But my friends, I'll tell you this. I believe in order to get things done, we've got to stand and fight. And so I'm voting for Scott Turner.
Are you ready to take it? Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Go ahead and have a seat.